Hello, hope you're all having a lovely Easter weekend. For some reason, Facebook seems to have changed something that's not letting me do the live video, so I thought I'd just record it here and then I'll upload it for you. As you can see from the pictures of the trees that I put up, this morning I went for a walk along my local cycle track, and when I saw the first tree lying down on the ground, and then quite a few round about it were in the same situation, possibly due to the high winds, it made me think that sometimes we're in the same situation. Things attack us from all different directions, and you just feel like lying down and playing dead. There's two ways to move forward from that. Obviously, you need to stand up to get on with your life, but you might also need to start again. And that's where all of these trees that I saw started bringing an idea into my head. One of the parts of the trees that was down on the ground was a little piece that was all gnarled and knotted. And it made me think that sometimes, even when you want to change, you feel that you've got yourself tied up in knots. Another tree had lots and lots of branches sticking out from it. And again, I thought you might have an idea about change, but instead of focusing on one direction, you might find yourself going off in a whole bunch of different directions and never seeming to make much progress. As I walked further along, I saw that last year they had planted a lot of saplings in containers, and unfortunately, a lot of them no longer were either the containers there or the trees inside them. Sometimes people just like to destroy things for the sake of it, which is really unfortunate. But every so often, I did see a sapling that was protected and it was growing. And I thought, that's some things that sometimes things that people have to do. They have to start afresh, go in a different direction, and just slowly take their time to build up strength as they change. Now, it so happens I'm actually reading at the moment a book by a gentleman called Dr. Manny called Bringing a Knife to a Gunfight. And that's all about changing habits. And you might hear people saying that you can change your habits in 30 days. But the way he says it is that if this is a habit that's taken you up for life, to build it to that point, 30 days, yeah, you might change it, but you might find yourself going back to it in a few weeks or even a few years. So by doing things slowly, it's the way to completely change things and instill your habit for life. One of the things that he mentions is he started a few years ago saying he wanted to wake up half an hour earlier at 5:30. So he now does that without thinking every day. So we can all change. It's just a case of how long it takes us to go in our different directions and how much we get distracted. Obviously, along the cycle track, there were also big, strong trees, trees that had managed to grow up over the years, that we learned to sway in the wind so that none of the wind brought them down. Occasionally, it might have knocked off a few branches, but the main part of the tree was still standing. And I think sometimes that's something that all of us need to learn, and that is how to sway in the wind. Sometimes things come into your life that you're not quite sure how to handle, and you can either fall down and think that this is the last thing that you need and that you really don't know how to go on after that, or you can learn to sway and just go with it. And sometimes that's all about living in the moment, going with the flow of what life brings to you, and then working on change if there's something that you can do to impact. One of the biggest things that you can do is all about your mindset. If you're the type of person that feels knocked down constantly, that they find that nothing is going to change, guess what? That's how you're going to stay. If you instead think about ways that you can change your life, even if it's just a little step at a time, it's certainly worthwhile moving in that direction rather than staying stuck like that tree that was all tied up in knots. We can either look at ourselves in two ways. We can look at ourselves that we are creatures of change or we're creatures of habit. And I think if you're a creature of habit, life can become very boring. What you really need to do is bring new life into your life. It might be a simple case of learning a new subject. I'm actually learning a new role at work, which a lot of people looked at with trepidation. But once we've actually started, we're finding it's not as bad as we anticipated. It's something you can learn all the time. And age isn't any barrier. My birthday is tomorrow, and a couple of people in the training room asked me how old I was going to be and were shocked. I'm not going to put it out here, but just to let you know, the age really isn't any barrier to learning. Yeah, it might take a little bit longer for things to stick in the head and stick in the memory, but I'm actually doing a few different things just now, which are all about learning. And I really think that it's something that we can all do ongoing. It's one of the ways to make your brain cells fire up as well. So all I want to say is don't feel like the tree that's lying down that you can't come out of that area that you're in. Instead, look at the tree that's branching up, that's been there, that's strong, or starting again. Give yourself some time out. Have a wee think about what you really would like to change, and then start in small stages, and gradually things will change in the other direction. Thanks.